Hey folks, Prepper Princess. I have a confession to make. I was a Starbucks girl. That's right. The queen of cheap was a Starbucks girl, also known as $5. So one of the biggest money savers that I have in my house is this Mr. Coffee. Mr. Coffee. This little coffee maker right here. I got this at a thrift store. I had an original one and the seal on the top broke. So I ended up getting this one at a thrift store for about $4. So Mr. Coffees are, a dime a dozen. You can get them anywhere, but that's not really totally what this video is about. But when I drank at Starbucks, I was a latte freak. All I drank was lattes. And it really did cost me about $5 every time I went in there, because every time I went and got a latte, I would get coffee cake to go with my latte. I now make my own coffee cake out of Mr. Krusty's or Krusty's coffee cake. And one of the downsides to this thing is, so you've got the brew. We'll go ahead and brew it, and then I'll go ahead and get to the downsides and why I do what I do. So I am a coffee snob. I no longer drink the Starbucks brand. When I first started doing this, I would buy a bag of Starbucks and use that. Now I go at Winco, and theirs are $2 a pound less. But I used to find that a lot of my Starbucks would go bad because people don't talk about the quality of coffee. Here's the coffee, ground coffee, and how it doesn't really last as long as you think. I'm used to doing this straight. There we go. Okay, and then you just take the water and put it in the reservoir, like so, and it takes a couple of minutes. Now this is an espresso, cappuccino, and latte maker. What they do is you fill it with the water, and then you make the coffee, and then afterwards you're supposed to put your milk in here, and then use this frother over on the side in order to froth your milk. Now, the problem with the frother is two things. Number one, you have to wait for the coffee to brew, and then you have to put milk in. For people who are on a time limit, that takes a long time for both of those to go through the process. Also, when you would put the milk through the process, sometimes it would come out cold. So what I do, I wait for this to brew, and I'll fill a little cup about, you can't see it with the milk. It's not even halfway full. It's about 1/3 full. And I found that the perfect amount of time for me is 1 minute, 45 seconds. So we'll get that. And once this comes out, I'll have about 1 minute to use my frother before this is ready, which is perfect amount of time because that's about the amount of time it takes to froth it in this frother. Now, I used different frothers in the past, and I'm hoping that you guys will learn from my mistakes of spending money on products that didn't work. So I originally got the little frother that had the little round thing at the end, and it was battery powered or plug powered, and you would plug it in and then put it in the cup and go zzzz. And the unfortunate thing with that is that the motorized mechanism would always break. I went through, I think, 3 of those, but it's not a huge money waster because even if I went through 3 of them, I was still saving a ton of money. I also got a hand pump frother similar to this, but it was made of glass. And unfortunately, the glass is not really that strong. It's a very, very thin glass, and that's the same with all of them. I went through 2 of those. The glass, they say dishwasher safe, you put it in the dishwasher, but after using it about 10 to 15 times, the glass would break. I would assume it's just because of the hot, cold, and then it would break. So I finally went with stainless steel. This one I did get on Amazon. It's very cheap, maybe $5, $10. It's rust proof, nothing's really rust proof. There's a tiny, tiny bit of rust on the outside there, but the inside is still very rust proof. And the thing is, you put the milk in, and then you just pump it like this, and then it'll froth the milk. So like I said, it'll take about 1 minute. I'll have about 1 minute. See, it's already almost brewed. I'll take my hot milk and put it in here. And I'll leave a link in the description where you can buy the frother, and I highly recommend the stainless steel frother. Okay, and again, the Mr. Coffee can be purchased at any thrift store. And I'll have about 30 seconds to a minute to froth this really well. And you know how on the top of a latte it's like really thick milk, and then it comes out just perfectly. It looks like almost like a piece of artwork. So I'm just going to sit here and pump this, and this is done with the brew. And like again I said, the frothing on this is a big time waster, and it doesn't always work. It sometimes makes the milk cold, which in my opinion is not the best latte. I am a bit of a coffee snob, so you know that what I'm about to drink is extremely high quality. You can use milk, you can use half and half. This also works with soy milk. It even works with powdered milk. I've tried it with powder milk because you guys know I have a lot of prepping videos out there, and I like to practice what I preach. And even when it comes to prepping for some sort of apocalypse or disaster, I always like to test the things that will work so that I know what I'm going to be in for if a collapse happens. Of course, I'm not really that big on 1% or 2% milk, which is the only option that you really have in powdered milk, but it sure is better than nothing. And of course, if you don't like lattes, you have a regular coffee maker. I also have a regular coffee maker, which is pretty much primarily used for guests. So when you look at the frother, see how it's up to about, I don't know, 4/5 full? Well, that's with, remember we put in 2/3 of the milk, and then it turns into 4/5 of a cup because the frothing expands the milk on the inside and it makes it thicker and bigger and almost like a whipped cream. And it's just amazing the way these turn out. So I don't know if you can tell by me pouring the milk how thick it looks. And then Rocky is waiting for any excess milk that I may or may not have. Now, I like mine with a little sprinkle of cinnamon on top. There we go. See how beautiful that turns out? Turns out absolutely amazing. And it's just as good, if not better, in my opinion, than Starbucks. And think about this. Not only did it save you the money that you would be spending at Starbucks, it also saved you the gas that it would have taken you to get there, the time that you would have had to wait in line, the time that you would have had to have waited for your drink, and the gas it would have taken you to get home. So I just want to show you guys again what this looks like. See how amazing that looks with the frothed milk, and you can see the steam coming up. And I take these to work every morning. This is the first thing I do, first thing in the morning when I wake up. Yes, I'm going to have a milk mustache. I can see myself. I know how ridiculous I look. I'll leave the link in the description box or in the comments to where you can get one of these frothers. And again, you can get the Mr. Coffee at just about any thrift store. Do what you can with what you've got. Prepper Princess out. Hey folks, Prepper Princess. I have a confession to make. I was a $5 girl. No.